Once upon a time, two men decided if they were making the cut. And then they made the cut. And now JT and Aaron are talking everything from wrestling to pop culture and beyond. Because it's no holds barred.
Will you back down, turn and run? Or stand up with the best? When your back's to the wall, what will your answer be? Will you run for the door? Will you run out on me like it's hard? It's no holds barred.
No holds. I don't know if that's coming through or not. We'll find out in a second. No holds barred.
I showed my children No Holds Barred for the first time. The film.
Oh, I think I meant like no holds barred parenting. Like,
No, that's been since day one. But the film No Holds Barred, what the moment that broke them up the most
Dookie?
was when no, although that was a big one. It's when Brell slaps a woman in the boardroom for no reason. Like I think she makes a suggestion and he just fucking knocks her, and they're like, "What?" They couldn't understand.
why so angry?
Yeah, like,
It's such a great movie. I'm glad you're passing it down.
yeah, I have to. I have no choice. We'll make him break his
obviously-
bond.
Obviously, is the reason for this whole show. No holds barred. That's it.
Yeah.
We can be friends. The concept here that we're covering tonight, Aaron, is a continuation from our last episode. And this is all part of the stretch project here for this year, North South Connection, NoSo 95, where we're going back to the year 1995 in wrestling, sports, pop culture, and beyond, and paying tribute to it. And back in April, you and I came on and rebooked WrestleMania 11. We made it a fantastic card, the best card. It's a great card. Everyone loves it.
I re-listened to it just to like kind of prep for this, and like I was like, oh yeah, fuck, I'd love to. I'd love to,
superior.
not to tote our own ideas, but like it's like I thought we did a solid job.
We definitely did, and we're going to revisit that card in a second. We also kind of rebooked the Rumble a little bit as part of that. So tonight we're going to rebook King of the Ring 1995, a show ripe for rebooking. And along that, we'll kind of rebook the journey to there, including In Your House 1. And then we'll set the tone for SummerSlam, which hopefully we'll do in August. This podcast is simulcast audio and video. So audio on all North-South Connection, under North-South Connection, all podcast apps, except for those bitches at Spotify. And then on video on YouTube, you can find us as well if you want to look at our beautiful shirts. We're very Halloween themed for June.
This is red. Is it reading orange?
I read it as orange.
Is it a girl color?
Yes, Brother Love says. 1 second. By the way, you can check out Aaron and I this weekend on Cronoso. Very special Cronoso 50 episode will be on YouTube and audio as well there. You can get that inside joke if you listen to that. I wore my Andre King shirt. I
wore my Lululemon yoga shirt that an ex-girlfriend gave me, and I was mocked mercilessly by many women for wearing.
Lululemon was around that long? I thought that was new.
That was in 2005. I got this shirt.
Are you sure it's Lululemon?
That's the look.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that what that is? I don't even know.
It's the brand of Lululemon.
I didn't know about this brand until like maybe 5 years ago.
Maybe is it Canadian? I don't think so, but
we had Lulu Lime here, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah, the shitty one. It's all the crime.
Would you prefer lemon to lime? Anyway, so let's dive in. So
you don't want to talk about lemons and limes for any longer?
We're gonna make lemons into lemonade with 1995. Yeah. So here's our card for WrestleMania 11. Yeah. We had Bam Bam Bigelow versus Tatanka in a lumberjack match
with the $1 Million Corporation around the ring.
Yes,
and Bam Bam beats the shit out of all of them at the end.
Yes, to finally put that to bed. Yeah. We had Undertaker against a heel Razor Ramon, which is a match that almost happened.
Yeah,
at that time. This was kind of our one throwaway match, but it was two guys that kind of deserved a Mania spot, but didn't have much else going on. That's a British Bulldog taking on Bob Backlund.
Yeah.
Then we had 1-2-3 Kid challenging Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental title.
And winning the Intercontinental title.
Winning. Yeah. We had the Smoking Guns losing to Owen Hart and Yokozuna, which we wanted to keep because it tied into our larger storyline, which is that Owen Hart throws down the gauntlet that he will do what Bret did the year before. He's going to beat Bret Hart to open the show, or fight Bret Hart to open the show, and then win a championship later in the night. Yeah. He loses to Bret in the No Holds Barred. and then wins the tag titles later. So he actually does do what Bret did, loses in the opener, and then wins gold at the end of the night with the returning Yokozuna. We then also had a women's title match. Alundra
why
Blaze
not?
with Bull Nakano. Yeah, they end up fighting on Raw, right? The next night we talked about. So why not have it here? I think it's the next night.
Yeah.
It's around there. Our world championship match, Diesel loses the world title to Lex Luger, who turns heel and joins Jim Cornette. So Luger wins the Rumble, goes back to his roots. He brings in J.J. Dillon to train him. He ditches the All-American and shows up as the total package at Mania. I believe it was at Mania, right? Where he bloodies Dillon. Was it after he wins the belt? Yeah, and then he beats the shit out of Dillon.
And almost as like a quasi face.
Right.
Bloodies and Dillon to leave.
Yes, and then leaves with Cornette, and now he's our heel champion, leaving the show. And then we still have our Lawrence Taylor main event, and that is against Shawn Michaels, which you could argue, and we did on that show, like fighting LT in the main event, just as much, if not more, than losing to Diesel in the world title match.
Yeah, I think it's more. And we had Sid at ringside. Originally, it was going to be the $1 Million Corporation guys, but they got taken out by Bigelow.
Yes, so Sid ends up coming out.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where we leave things out of Mania.
Yeah.
So let's start the march toward King of the Ring. We have Luger as the heel world champion, Kid as our IC, Owen Yoko as our tag, and Blaze is our women's, if we care.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. So we only have one show till King of the Ring, right? It's In Your House 1 and then King of the Ring, right? So I thought that instead of, and you can tell me what you think about this, you need something kind of big for King, like for the In Your House to kind of launch it, right? We can hash it out, right? But I think a really cool main event for this show would have been, and I think there's reasons why later we can get into, would have been Lex Luger defending his newly won world championship against the 1-2-3 Kid. And they bill it as like a champion versus champion match. And that's what kind of makes it special. Because I think like no one will blame the Kid for losing to Luger, which he will, obviously. Right. And I think I actually think it might be a pretty interesting matchup at the time too.
Yeah, it could be fun with Kid bumping around, Luger throwing him around. I'll toss out two other options we could talk about. Yeah. And then decide. One, I think, is Bigelow. Because I always thought Bigelow should have happened here and held off on Sid. So I think Bigelow, fresh off eviscerating the corporation, steps in to step up to Luger on behalf of his friend Diesel, who's on the. Well, I think we're agreeing, is Diesel on the shelf for the show, selling for me.
Yes, I don't have Diesel on the show.
Right. I think he comes back. Let's have him come back the next night on Raw after In Your House.
Yeah, he'll be. I think we're going to use him in the King of the Ring.
Yes. Yeah. So I think he's injured since Mania. So Bigelow is going to step up for his friend and take on Luger, but Luger guts out a win. I think the other option you could do is British Bulldog coming off the big win over Backlund, and you kind of do the Allied Powers. I guess they hadn't really teamed, but they kind of were working together a bit here and there, or at least maybe you established them earlier in the year a little bit as a team heading into the heel turn.
See, even I don't mind that at all. Like, in fact, I kind of had the idea, and again, I think we kind of have to hash them out together a little bit. But I thought of Luger defending the title at King of the Ring against Bulldog. Okay. Like putting it a bit later. And I don't think, I think Kid for me doesn't work at King of the Ring. Bigelow would work could work at King of the Ring. But I also like him in the tournament, maybe. So I'm happy with
King of the Ring.
Yeah, so I'm happy with Kid or Bigelow. I'll be honest, I didn't have Bigelow on the show without that. So
I like the Kid idea. It just doesn't feel like something they would have done. Not that it matters, it's our world. We did go off a little bit. But like if you're selling the first In Your House, it depends on how big we're trying to make Bigelow, I guess. Like, is he kind of cooked like he was in real life, or do we actually see promise in him as a face? Because if we see promise and we think there's something there and he's going to be Diesel's buddy, I think having him step up for Diesel makes sense. If we think he's kind of washed, which is fine too, then I'm fine throwing Kid in there because I do think it's fun. Kid Luger kind of feels like a Raw match.
It does, but I think it gets elevated a bit because they're both champions.
Right.
I think if they weren't champions, anyway, we can actually kind of. I actually think we can kind of leave that and come back to it.
Okay.
Right. The other matches I thought of just off the top of my head were a rematch for Ramon and Undertaker. Mm-hmm. But maybe a casket match that Ramon can win. because I think we're going to kind of move with him. I think we can keep Owen and Yoko against the Guns if we want. I had Bulldog just in a match against Jarrett just to build him up more since he was going to challenge.
Right, yeah, because I was thinking that too. Like he needs a win if he's gonna move
Yeah.
up to take on Luger. I mean, I guess one thing we're doing is basically killing off Jarrett during one of his hottest stretches in '95 a little bit. I mean, we had him lose a Mania. Now he's losing here. Is there anyone else though that's big enough, like for Bulldog to beat, where we can make it like a number one contenders match? Like, what if it's him and Sid?
Here's my thought on Sid. Okay, I think that after WrestleMania, he does the same thing. He turns on Shawn, and we don't see either of them until King of the Ring.
Okay,
that would be but again, I'm open to whatever, right? But like, I like Sid. I don't want to beat him yet, though. I don't think. So who else is in that? Like, we could throw Mabel in there.
Well,
like,
I have a good one that would be really cool, but you'd have to be okay. This guy would have to be okay with it, but you could do Bulldog Bret and have they say the winner's going to get the title shot, and then whoever want to have cost Bret that whoever he's going to deal with at King of the Ring could cost him.
Yeah. So what I love that. That's a great idea because I had originally thought I didn't know what to do with Bret, and I didn't want him to have 2 matches.
95.
Yeah. But I know what to do with him later. That's the thing,
Right.
and earlier. But I had on this show, I had like Bret and Lawler in like a final, like instead of doing like Hakushi and then Lawler, I had him like Bret and Lawler in like a loser leaves town kind of match. But if you wanted to do Bret and Bulldog, you could have Lawler cost him the match.
Yeah.
And then you could have
or Lawler or Cornette. Like, we should think about Cornette because is he managing Luger, Yoko, and Owen?
I think we so in the last episode we talked about that and we said he's not. He's just moved on to that.
Just a Luger, okay. Because I'm trying to think, is there someone else we could put with them as like a heavy, and they get involved, and then Bret ends up fighting Cornette's other guy to keep him busy for a bit or something. I think Bulldog, if you're going to line him up as a top contender, I think we already washed Jarrett out at Mania by losing to Kid.
Yeah.
Him beating Bret is like a big deal. And I think Bret's willing to put Bulldog over. Like, I think he would. Yeah. Especially if you sell him on later in the year, you'll give him the win back at In Your House 5. Whether that happens or not in the world. Right.
Yeah, well, we can actually probably keep that. But and I think too, if you have it like with someone interfering, like it, I think the key to this next little section is to keep Bret strong. Like is to keep him strong, but he can't be winning everything yet. So that's something. If you do Bret Bulldog and you have Lawler get involved, right? Then you can take up the next couple pay-per-views with Lawler and Hakushi.
Yep.
Because like in my original plan, I was like, okay, he could fight Lawler In Your House, and he can fight Hakushi at King of the Ring, right?
Right.
But it could work in any sort of order. Like I really like Davey and Bret. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, another guy that's kind of in the mix, if we care enough about him, I don't really know if we do, is Kama. Like, instead of being with DiBiase, could we have him with Cornette? Like, I'm just trying to think, is there like a bodyguard type guy, like the Mr. Hughes to Luger in WCW kind of guy, right? Like that big muscle that gets in the way. What's he up to, Hughes? Bring him back.
Yeah, he's not doing anything.
Like, is there someone we could stick with them as like that gets fed? You know, because like I'm just picturing like Cornette dictates kind of who they want to fight Luger, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious answer might be Sid, but like I don't want to beat Sid here. Like I like Sid.
I actually have an idea for Sid.
Me too, but we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Well, I have an well, do you have something big for him at King of the Ring?
Yes.
Okay.
But not that big. Like, I mean big, but like nothing that like.
So let me throw out an idea for In Your House then to really juice the show up. Like, we're keeping it 2 hours, right? So what do we have locked in so far? Something with Luger. Bigelow,
we have
Kid, right?
Yoko and Owen against the Guns, if we want to keep that.
Right. So we go Luger, Skull, Bigelow, Kid right now. For now, we'll decide.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care which one.
Then we got Guns versus Yoko and Owen.
Yeah.
We got Bret
Ramon against
Bulldog.
Yeah, Ramon Undertaker casket match.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fucking banger card.
I know.
All right. So if we want to stick to what do they have, 5 or 6 matches on that first one?
They had 5.
No, it's 6 actually.
Oh, they had 6. Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah, because of the Lawler match. I mean, the Atom Bomb is a minute and 50, so whatever.
Yeah.
And even King and Brett's 5 minutes. Oh, and Yoko's 5 minutes. So I mean, nothing's too crazy. All right, so I'm kind of leaning Kid with this card the way it's stacking up, because now I think you can have a match like that because we're stacking this so much. Because you could actually end it with Brett Bulldog if you want.
Yep.
Maybe Luger's showered, he's watching the match at ringside or something. Maybe him and Kid opens the show or something like that, and
he leaves.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm done. Like, it kind of fits the character of like.
Right. All right, so let's go Kid. So my idea for Sid,
Yeah,
is we give one more payday to Lawrence Taylor, and Sid beats LT because LT got his Mania win over Shawn Michaels. And Sid beats LT to springboard him from there.
Listen, with what I have in my head for Sid, Shawn, and everything else, that is a great idea.
And maybe Bigelow's with LT in his corner or something if you want to have him out there. Because maybe we stick with the he trained him concept or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Is Sid aligned with anyone?
Well, he was aligned. Oh no, but he was aligned with Shawn.
Right.
So like maybe they suspend Sid for like 30 days and this is his return or something.
So I kind of like this. I think I like Sid with Cornette.
Okay.
And you have Cornette tease that, hey, LT, like maybe LT the next night of Raw does kind of like a
comes out
thanks
to
for
say
having
goodbye.
me. Yeah, and Cornette comes out and says like, hey, like you made a mockery, as a guy who stands for wrestling, right? You made a mockery of the wrestling business. Shawn Michaels is a fool, like, couldn't handle whatever you want to say. And he says, like, sign this open contract.
Yes.
We're in your house. And I am going to have an opponent for you that you won't be able to beat. And then LT accepts. Bigelow comes out. He says, I'll train him. And then Sid makes a surprise return in your house with Cornette. And now Sid is Luger's muscle.
And he destroys LT, right?
And Bigelow.
Yeah. He hurts everybody. Yeah. All right. I'm down. I'm down with that.
All right. So, and that's a 5-match card. We can throw, if we want to throw anything else, you want to put a Hakushi intro squash. I mean, he's been around since December, but do you want to do another women's match? Or
I don't think the women's talent is there yet, but we could throw a Hakushi match on if you wanted.
Beat Jarrett? No.
Bob Holly. You could beat somebody like that.
Adam Bomb.
Adam Bomb is going to win the Royal Rumble. I think who would be a good match for him?
I think Holly at least can move with him.
Yeah. Can't believe we're giving Holly a payday in this world, but go ahead.
Well, 95. This is his big year. He's on like every fucking show.
That's true.
Besides Kid, yeah. Are we not debuting Savio Vega anymore? Is he not?
No, I don't think so. I looked at it and for a while I was like, oh, maybe. But then I was like, why? Why? Yeah. I can't believe it.
So here's like, what if it's Adam Bomb and he's been faced for a while, but what if it's Adam Bomb and Quang comes out and like Quang has returned for revenge on Adam Bomb and then unmasks to be Savio as a heel and costs him against Hakushi or something. Heel Savio.
I love it, but the only problem is we already have someone interfering on the Bret.
No, we have a lot of interference. I think Hakushi just beats Adam Bomb. I think that's fine.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I like that. Nice tight card.
Yeah, that's a strong. Sorry, so Luger goes over Kid. Obviously, it's the IC belt's not on the line, right?
No, and I think like again, it's like Kid fighting from underneath against like this guy who's way too strong.
What if the world title's not on the line either? What if Luger says, if I'm not main eventing, it's not a world title match, and if Kid beats me, he can have a shot, and then Luger just beats him.
Yeah, and
that
that'll
makes him even more of an asshole.
And it makes it you actually start to maybe think Kid could win then too.
Right.
Because they're not going to put the world title on him, but yeah, that's cool.
Okay. All right. So Luger, Kid, non-title, Guns versus Yoko and Owen. Hart Bulldog, #1 contender.
Yeah.
And then Ramon, Taker in the casket. All right, so Luger defeats. We're having Yoko Ono and retain, right?
Yeah.
Bulldog beats Hart. So do you want to have Sid like as LT earlier in the night? Because Brett Bulldog's main eventing, right? So do you want to have Brett Bulldog like Sid is the one that interferes in that for Cornette?
No, I think honestly, because I think we got to get Brett away from the Cornette faction until maybe
Okay.
SummerSlam. So
Right.
I actually think Lawler is the best choice.
Okay.
Like, because Lawler can still work, right?
Right. All right.
And
so
then-
Lawler interferes. Cost him. All right. So Luger beats Kid non-title. Yoko Ono beat the Guns. Ramon beats Taker.
Yeah.
Sid beats LT. And Hakushi beats
Hakushi.
Adam.
Yeah.
Is Ramon winning clean? Or you want to put a heel Savio with him?
Definitely. I think he probably should. I mean, it's a casket match, so like there's no rules.
Okay.
He can maybe do something nefarious in the match, but I don't think we should run anybody else down.
Right. Okay. All right. I think that's a tight. I mean, that's a great card right there.
Yep. And again, we're just using guys that are there.
Right.
Like, the only one we added was LT.
All right. So King of the Ring. Do you want to? Is there anything you want to cover in the build up first, or do you want to do the card and then retro the build?
I think do the card first. And I think the way the card was originally was all the King of the Ring and 2 other matches. Are we good with that format still?
Yes.
Okay.
With the potential for a third match if needed.
Sure. Now, are we doing Luger Bulldog for the world title?
Yeah, Bulldog wins that match with Brett.
Yeah. And he's fighting Luger at King of the Ring.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to just clear up before we talk about the tournament, how do you feel about not having Bret Hart in the tournament, but having a match instead?
Yeah, I mean, he already won 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think he needs it. I don't think it helps anybody for him to be in it.
No.
So it's like, that's the reason why I was talking about someone interfering too, because
Right.
whoever interferes, he can deal with him here.
Yeah, because that comes, I mean, that would be like 2 losses in a row too, unless he wins the tournament.
Right.
Because you'd have him losing in your house and losing a King of the Ring. So you want to have
That's
Hart
right.
beat Lawler?
Yeah, Heartbeat Lawler or Heartbeat Hakushi, like somebody like that.
Right. Well, we didn't really involve Hakushi in it. So I think just keeping Brett Lawler for now. And then if we want to spin off into Hakushi, we can.
Yeah, maybe next month, but not in a Kiss My Foot match.
No, just a match.
Yeah. Or if you wanted to put a stip, like something like the loser has to leave or the loser can't wrestle for a year, like something that that elevates it that little, because it is a gimmick match, the Kiss My Foot, because their feud has been going on for so long.
Right.
So it probably does need, you could put them in a cage. That might actually be interesting.
Yeah, could do a cage.
To finally blow off the feud.
Right.
Actually,
I was actually trying to think, is there something where like loser has to go to Memphis? Like, or like loser has to leave Memphis for a year or something and Lawler can't wrestle in Memphis?
That'd be the best. Well, you could put that in there too. But as soon as I said it, I think a cage would be really cool. Like for those.
Yeah,
two.
his Lawler keeps us trying to escape. And Brett
Yeah.
beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. That's good.
All
Way
right.
better than a Kiss My Foot.
All right, well, give me your brackets and then we'll decide if we need a third match or not.
Okay, so these are the 8 guys, and I'm going to give you the order. So, do you want the matches too, like, or just the 8 guys?
No, give me the 8 guys and then we'll see if we're on the same page.
Okay, Sid Kid. Okay,
Yep.
Diesel Razor,
Yep.
Bigelow Owen.
Are these the matches?
Just because I'm reading them off the bracket, right?
Okay.
And Sean Jarrett.
All right. So no Mabel. Already an improvement.
No
No
Mabel.
Salvio. No Rhodey.
Seth.
No Holly. No.
Yeah.
A much better tournament across the board.
Yeah, already. No Undertaker, but
Yes.
I think after the casket match, it's okay. We'll bring him back like next month or something.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he'll need the blow off with Razor.
Yeah.
At SummerSlam probably.
Probably, or maybe a little bit later, depending on what. Because it's all going to again, I'm thinking about it long term too. But yeah, but we'll see as we get there.
Right. They'll need some kind of blow off. Taker's got to get his win over him.
Because in our one about WrestleMania 11, we talked about Razor being the one to take the Intercontinental off Kid at In Your
Right.
House. I think that might still be a good idea to keep the ladder match at SummerSlam.
Right.
It just probably happens next month.
Right. And then if you do take a Razor later in the year, we're not far removed from the Buried Alive concept. So you could bring that
Nope.
up a year.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like it's years away. It's only a year out.
Yeah, or maybe there's some sort of weird gimmick match that like Razor comes up with, like a
Right.
Cuban Missile Crisis or something. I don't know.
Yes. Loser gets blown up.
Loser gets buried in the Bay of Pigs.
All right. So with Henry Godwin. That's what
Yeah,
we did.
right.
You get
Yeah.
buried in the Bay of Pigs in the pig pen.
Mhm.
All right. So you got Sid defeating Kid.
Yeah, now just let me mention something about this. Like I love the idea of, and maybe it's, I don't know why I'm so into Kid, but I like the idea of Kid kind of fluke winning the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. He
Mhm.
gets elevated, and now he has to fight Luger last month. He's got to fight Sid now.
Mhm.
Like, so he's getting worn down.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that, so that if we do next month Razor, it becomes like even more unfair.
Right. Or you could, I mean, we'll pencil it in. We'll cover it next time we do this. But like, you could have Razor beat him the next night on Raw because he's so worn out, and that Razor just takes advantage, and beats him.
Yeah. Yeah, and they could even do a rematch at In Your House or something with
Right.
Razor as the champion.
All right. So Sid defeats Kid,
Destroys him, obviously.
and then you got what, Diesel over Razor?
Yeah, I think so. And then maybe Razor like beats the shit out of him after the match or something, like
Yeah.
something so that in the next round Sid has an advantage.
Right.
I think you see where I'm going with this tournament at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then Owen beats Bigelow.
I had Bigelow beating Owen to give him a little something, but it could go.
Yeah, it's
either
big.
way.
Oh no, well, actually we didn't. Well, he's with so all right, so here's one other option we could do. We could take Bigelow out of here
Yeah.
and do one more thing with LT. We could take Owen out of here too. I know you think I'm crazy, but we could do Bigelow and LT versus Owen and Yoko.
Oh, that's fun. And we just need yeah, like it. I like that. The only reason I had Bigelow winning was because I thought I'd like to see Shawn and Bigelow,
Right.
but I like that idea too.
Because you can't, like, LT leaving after getting murked by Sid is like kind of like, all right, because what happens is you could have them win the titles, and the next night Cornette gets it invalidated. Because I think
Right.
bringing Owen and Yoko into the fold with Sid and Luger is pretty cool. Like Luger, Sid, Owen, Yoko. That's a cool
Yeah, it's a
foursome.
good team.
And it sets up maybe Survivor Series potential if they keep everything.
Yeah.
So maybe Cornette steps in on their behalf and says, like, LT is not really a contracted wrestler, so the title change doesn't count. Like kind of like they did with the triple threat or the triple header thing later in the year. So anyway, I don't know, because then you give LT kind of a good send off at the end. You pay off him and Bigelow as a team.
Yeah, I like it. Now I'm totally fine with that. We just need a match we need two guys in the tournament now.
All right, so let's look at it.
Well, I mean, before we go any further, Shawn and Jarrett. Shawn's going over.
Yes.
Okay, so Shawn, we're looking for a good opponent for Shawn in the second round, because I like the idea of the story being Sid is kind of coasting through the tournament,
Right.
and Shawn has to have these like hard fought matches.
All right, so Michaels defeats Jarrett. I mean, you could, if you want to go with the coasting idea, instead of having Diesel get beat up, what if Shawn fights Diesel in the second round? And we find like
I'm okay with that. Yeah, okay. So like we move Diesel and Razor down in the bracket.
Yep. So now Shawn has to fight his buddy. Right.
Diesel, that's good. And then Sid is going to fight the winner of this other match.
Yeah, which we can make more of maybe a cupcake scenario.
Do we want to use Backlund?
Well, I mean, I keep mentioning him because he's such a big part of this stretch, but I mean, we could do Savio here.
Yeah.
If we want to give him an intro, or so we got Savio, we got someone like Holly, we got Kama.
Well, we could
Adam
do
Bomb.
Savio Haku. We could do Savio Hakushi.
Yeah.
And then Savio beats him, sneaks out a
Doink.
win, and then gets murdered. Doink. Doink is good too. Sid killing Doink.
I'd want to make that first round if we did that. And maybe Kid beats Hakushi.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
And Doink somehow
Yeah.
like wins a qualifying match. Maybe he's back
And
in
he
the
gets
qualifying match
Sid.
or something.
Yeah, and he gets
Right.
Sid.
So Sid murders Doink to start the show.
Yeah.
Kid beats Hakushi. So he gets a win.
Barely.
Right.
Yeah.
He gets a win. Sid now gets a beat up, a worn down Kid. And that sets up even better if we do the next night
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Razor, because now Kid had 2 matches, one being Sid.
Yeah.
All right. So then second round, Sid beats Kid. And
Yeah.
Sean beats Diesel. And then do you have Sean winning or Sid?
Yeah. I think Sean.
Yeah.
I think Sean is the way to go. And like we talked about last time, he's going to get the ladder match with Razor at SummerSlam.
Right.
But it ties. I just find it ties Sean and Sid in together really well. I don't think it
Yeah.
really changes anything. Like Sean can defend the Intercontinental against him later. He can still lose the belt to Sid in '96. Like I think it all still, because we talked last time too about not wanting to take away the boyhood dream, right?
Right.
So I think
Yeah,
by
we gotta mark
the
toward
time we
that.
get to that's it. By the time we get to WrestleMania 12, like at the end of WrestleMania 12, Sean is the champion, right?
Yeah.
And I'd probably leave that year the same because it's pretty good. But yeah, like that would be my instinct on it, was to have Sean win the King of the Ring, which he's the most over guy in the company. Makes sense.
Yeah, there's no lock title shot as part of it. So it doesn't really matter if it doesn't really matter if he wins and doesn't fight Luger. We'll talk more at SummerSlam for who Luger fights and goes from there. But so the only guys really affected so far by this in a serious level are Mabel, Savio, Rhodey. I mean, there's no, like, we're not really losing anything major here.
Guys who shouldn't have been pushed above the guys that are there.
No, definitely not. I'd say the biggest loser is Kama probably so far. Like, as far as a
Maybe,
guy
yeah.
that had something substantial. We can decide, do we want the Taker lights to flicker for when Diesel beats Razor, something like that, just to fuck with him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that protects Razor a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Sid Doink.
I mean, look. Yeah, I mean, there's also like we can play around too. Like Razor could get disqualified against Diesel. Like Diesel doesn't need, like he doesn't need to beat anybody to go to the next round. Really, like it's like it can be an even match, and then Razor does something cheap if he wants.
Right.
Like, if you want to make him that kind of heel.
Yeah, and then Shawn Diesel's, that's like a big selling point for this show.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have fought yet at all.
Nope. No, it'd be the first time, and they kind of probably are fighting like as buddies.
Yeah.
So it's still a nice contrast. If you still later, like again, if you're looking ahead to '96, if you want to do good friends, better enemies, still it's fine. It's a completely different match, completely different circumstances.
Yeah. So I think in ring, I'm not gonna say, like, King of the Ring '95 is so fucking bad. Like, so I'm not gonna sit here and say like we built a mega card like in ring wise, but I think with the guys that exist at this time, we've improved the booking quite a bit. We've improved protecting guys that deserve to be protected, and we have added a decent amount of match quality. So, I think Sid Doink is a great opener.
Yeah.
So let's do the card in full. So we got Doink versus Sid.
Yeah.
Then we do Kid Hakushi.
Yeah.
Then you do Sean Jarrett. Or do you want to do Diesel Razor next? I guess Diesel Razor. Because, those Sean and Jarrett are going to be similar to Kid and Hakushi.
Yeah, so keep him far away. And I mean, look, like I think when we're sinking Jarrett, right, we end up losing that great Intercontinental match at In Your House 2.
Right.
With
you get it here,
but they do it here, like,
Right. It may not be that match, but it'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
So the big thing is our non-tournament matches are stacked. So, like, do we roll LT out in the middle of the show here? I guess so, right? Or do you want to do Hart Lawler in the cage?
I think you do Hart. I think you can do Hart Lawler as like the midpoint. the tag titles after the semis, and then
Right. Then the final, then the world title. Or do you
or
wanna do
maybe
the
even the
final
world
last?
title. You might want to do the final last because Sean's winning,
Right.
and Sean and Sid is a big match. Like,
So we could do the world title in the middle here, like at 94.
yeah. You're right. You're right. Let's do that.
All right. So we'll do Bulldog versus Luger. Then we'll do, because Luger can keep this gimmick of like, I'm out of here early.
Yeah.
You know? I want to wrestle, get me out. Like almost the prototype Brock from later.
Yeah.
All right. So then we'll do Sid versus Kid. Sid should always go first because that also gives him a longer break to play into your whole
Yes.
easy path concept. All right.
Yeah.
So then Shawn Diesel. And then Bret Lawler. And then the LT tag. So that gets him near the top.
Yeah.
And then Shawn and Sid.
It should also, the final match should, like, Sid in his earlier matches should have a very easy time.
Right.
No, like 2 minutes, like
Yeah,
nothing.
well, I mean,
you know,
Doink
like-
is going to be a straight destruction. And
Yeah,
Kid is
and
banked
Kid-
up. Maybe you do the jet, like the Owen Kid from 94, 5-minute sprint. Kid gets
Well,
a
it's just-
flurry.
Yeah, until Sid gets his hands on him. And I think you set it up so that it looks like he's going to do the same thing to Sean,
Right.
who's gonna come in after having fought these wars against Jarrett and then Diesel. Like,
The other big loser in this whole thing is DiBiase, who we're not using at all pretty much since Mania, which is, I'm fine with it. But I mean, he's like the top heel of 95 and we don't have him anywhere.
maybe after Bret beats Lawler, DiBiase could be on commentary.
I mean, we can stick him with someone eventually, but no one right now jumps out. Because I like the whole Cornette stable, the new Camp Cornette being Luger, Sid,
Yoko, and Owen.
Because you can eventually do the Sid horseman turn too, where Sid turns
Yeah.
like he was supposed to, and fight and challenge Luger too. You can do that.
He could fight his way up. Yeah. I don't know if we'll have Luger still having the title by then, but we'll see.
Right.
Because one of the things we'll have to decide later, and we're not going to decide it now, but like later is Luger still leaving in September? Like, are we keeping that
Right.
as a parameter? Right. So that'll actually kind of dictate the next couple of
I guess
shows.
we got to decide that. Yeah. To me, it's not a gimme that he was definitely going to leave. So, like, I think it's on the table if we want to keep him. But
Well, if they've made him world champion, I don't see why he wouldn't stay. He was making
right,
more
we're giving
money.
him way
Like,
more.
yeah.
And or you could say Bischoff made a big money offer because now his name is so much higher. But
Yeah.
and we're using LT for a 3-match contract, so I think we're opening up the doors a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, Doink is done right after this. He has
Mhm.
that match where Waylon Mercy kills him, and everyone chants "kill the clown" or whatever it is. So this could be the end of Doink as well. Sid just fucking destroys him, and that they
He
write
should
off.
come
the
out.
character.
He should come out to fight Waylon Mercy already in the stretcher. He should be getting
Yeah,
off
that's-
the
that's
stretcher
fair
to like fight him. Like,
Because I mean,
I
he's
know
pretty
too.
much done anyway within a month, so this could be it for Doink.
Yeah, I also don't like you mentioned like we're bringing LT out, but like also we're not. He's kind of on the periphery of everything.
Yeah, no, he's
Like
just there.
all the main storylines still work. It's just we're using him to like get other guys more involved in the show.
Yeah, and to me, it's like Mr. T. It's like he had the big match, and then he
Yeah.
hangs around for a bit. He fights Piper, is the special ref. Like he's kind of does little things here and there.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's kind of what LT does. He signs like a 6-month deal from Rumble to King of the Ring, appears at the Rumble, fights in gets the main event of Mania, puts over Sid in your house, and then gets to have the final win with Bigelow. And this keeps Bigelow important too for a while.
Yeah. Now was LT retired? He was, eh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't know football as well.
And he's
so-
good enough too. Like you could argue like, and there were rumors at the time. I remember PWI and something else were saying, like there were rumors they were going to do a tag with Sid, Bigelow, and LT against like Sid and I forget who it was, like at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Like that was a rumor for a while, or Diesel and LT. So like that was definitely rumored for a bit to happen. So
I'd rather have LT around than watch Savio Vega work through a tournament. Like,
yeah, I think even in your house one maybe Hercules had like it was something where it was like Diesel and LT were going to team, against maybe it was Sid and Bigelow or whatever it was. It was something like that, but So I like the idea of him sticking around, but this could be it. Like they win the belts. Cornette comes out the next night on Raw and says, you're not a, signed contracted wrestler. You can't hold a title, and the belts get either held up. We can do a tournament, or they just go back to Owen and Yoko, whatever.
Or Bigelow has to find another partner, because then you could keep
we could do
Bigelow
that too. Yeah.
in that scene. Like
maybe we put Bulldog with him or something.
Yeah, after that, or even Diesel. Like
could do that. Okay, we'll worry about
no,
that.
another loser is Diesel.
Yeah,
but
well, yes, but like I think we're saving him from himself a little bit, because yes, he has a world title for that run, but it almost like derails his entire career as a star. Like it's such a disaster. It tanks him. So you could argue we're actually doing him a favor by like pulling back the reins a little bit and giving him some different stuff to do, and maybe this better sets him up for the back end of the year, because we can do some different stuff with him toward the back in 95. But
or we can even keep some of it similar, right? Like because that Bret match is so good. Like
well, and I think I like the idea too of running back Bret and Bulldog for Bret to get his win back later in the year too, if we end up turning Bulldog, because we could do Bulldog as Bigelow's partner and still do the heel turn. Bulldog turns on him.
I think when you look at 1995, there's actually some really excellent stuff that happens, and I think it kind of sucks to have to get rid of it. We're kind of working our way so that we don't lose the ladder match at SummerSlam, right? We're working our way so that maybe Bret can fight Bulldog as Bulldog in the heel. Like I think if we keep the things that are already excellent and just kind of gussy up everything around it.
Yeah, I think our goal is to redo these without dramatically changing the world around it. Like keeping Luger, to me, it's a pretty big change because he's big in 96. So we're going to have to really talk about that. And WC is such a big part of WCW that it's not like a minor thing to keep him around. I mean, him debuting on the first Nitro is like a big part of the wars. So we may have to have him go. So I think him losing at SummerSlam and then Bischoff buys him off and is like, I'm going to debut this big mega star on the first Nitro, versus having to get talked into it by Sting or whatever. Instead, he buys him to come in, and then that keeps the world kind of on tilt.
Yeah, I think that works. That's what I was saying. Like, I think we have to decide if he's leaving or not, because I mean, it really does seem like I don't know about you, but it kind of starts to seem obvious who's going to be the one to take the belt off of him in our scenario. Does it feel that way for you too?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to do it. And I think, if anything, we've really built a great year for him versus the slop he had in 95. Like, this is a great turn. We're almost doing the prototypical, like what they do for Diesel later, where they give him this awesome heel reboot, and then he jumps and uses it for the NWO. Like, and maybe that's part of this too. Like, they steal Luger, and then we've built up Razor as a heel. We'll build up Diesel, and then they take them both too. So that kind of adds some of the drama,
And it actually becomes more interesting, because if Luger spends the last year in WWF as a heel, people are really going to think he's the third man,
right?
Even more than they probably did, because I remember he was like suspect number one, right? But and it's an interesting character turn that ends up not being him.
Right. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. I think we'll plan to be back in August to do the stretch from King of the Ring to SummerSlam and keep this going. Let us know your thoughts. Like, what would you change? What did we have that you liked, didn't like? I think there's a lot of good stuff in here for sure. Like we went over. I think we definitely made a way more compelling tournament, a much better undercard, and really set us up for the future. It can't be worse. The only thing we could have maybe done. Go ahead.
Go on. I was going to say, let us know too if you think we should keep Luger or get rid of him. I think that's an interesting talking point.
Right. Within that. The only thing you could say we could have maybe done is, being an ECW, could we have done something with that? They're not really big or adversarial just yet either, though. They're still kind of finding their footing in 95, because they're not at this show at all. There's a lot of ECW chants. 96 feels like a better spot for them to pop in when they do, but it's something we could have maybe done if we wanted to.
Well, I mean, if we wanted, we have a couple of matches at King of the Ring where we need someone to interfere, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
Like Razor could get into jacking, into like jacking with them or something, and then that could play into the match.
Right. Yeah. All right. All right. So we'll be back. No holds barred. Thank you for watching and listening. Check out everything we have to offer here at the North South Connection and NoSo 95. We appreciate you. We love you. Stay tuned. Smell the dookie. Drop the dookie. Slap a woman in the boardroom. Like Brel.
See you,
Well.
jackass. Ah!